For too many years, families of children with devastating illnesses have felt helpless as they watch their child suffer. Today, they're taking matters into their own hands and finally finding relief treating their child with cannabis. These are their stories.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're on the part 2 episode of us having an absolutely mind-blowing conversation with Miss Mieko Hester-Perez, who's the international autism and cannabis healthcare advocate. It's just amazing the things that she's done, her experience, her background. If you guys had missed the first episode, I say go back and check that out. I'm just thinking about your timeline because you got involved in 2009 with your son. 6 years later, we're involved, my wife and I, with Aiden, getting into, cannabis as a medicine for our son. Because a year prior to that, I was just getting educated about it, finding out that it would be helpful for seizures, not knowing that a year later that I would be actually in it. And that's taking us on this path where we are now. Did you foresee that for yourself as well? Or is this something that, it just opened up to that point? Not something strategically you were planning?
You can't make this up. I mean,
that's true.
I had to choose between law school and taking care of my children. And I chose taking care of my children because I wanted to make every single appointment. Actually, I just remember quitting my job one day. Because Joey, I had to take him to get assessment and then assessment to an ABA therapist and this therapist and this therapist. And I walked in at lunchtime and I said, I quit. Wow. I said, I having to make, sacrifices that I would have never seen coming. And they were all a blessing. Every fight, every day that I miss sleep, everything that I've done up until today has been worth it.
It's amazing. It's an amazing journey when you look back, you're like, wow.
And it's still the same, because of, there's laws. I mean, we do have autism on a few legislative bills and other conditions in which there's still a catch-22. There's still guidance that families of color need to have. And so because of that, I do find myself speaking with social services, social workers, and medical professionals on a daily. I really am, a true healthcare ambassador, being the bridge between not so much misunderstood anymore, but just being able to provide support to be able for them to support each other like the team I had in 2009.
Jeez, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of work, but we're super parents.
Got it.
I laugh. I can run a whole country in my pajamas and slippers and a cup of coffee. I'm good. And it's because we juggle IEP meetings, emails to our teachers, emails to their doctors, other families like us, and we have no idea the training that has, and the training has been a gift.
Yeah, it has been. It's like going to college. So let me ask a question in the sense that when you were first involved in the industry, as well as dealing with your son as he has autism, did you find other families? Did you reach out to other families? Did you know other families like yourself? People of color that are going through the same thing that would provide any guidance. I mean, because for us, we didn't see that. It wasn't something that was like vastly available. People we could turn to that looked like us, that could tell us, the ins and outs of what to deal with, especially when you're dealing with the education law, where you're dealing with just health law and all these other things that we have to contend, even, medical marijuana as well.
So I can tell you the day I walked off the stage of Good Morning America, my entire life changed. And it hasn't stopped. I still sometimes sit down on my computer and go, oh, shit, I have 200 emails today.
Wow.
All from families that look like me. And so it's been, I joke and I always say that I'm an urban myth, because usually when other families find out about me, they're like, you're a real person? Yes. Yes, I'm a real person. And the consult that we're about to have is going to be very different from any other consult you've ever had from anyone else in this industry. The trick to us is knowing our dynamics. Everyone can sell a product. Everyone can give you a certain set of laws, but the dynamics and the navigation part are one that is different for us. And it is, as much as I don't like saying it, this is a privileged treatment option.
Oh yes, it is, and that's what bothers me, honestly. That I wish for one day that is not a privileged option.
Well, when the promoters of these big expos start going into neighborhoods that are more of people with color, when we start seeing more educational seminars and lectures inside urban communities, then we will have more families to trust that this is a treatment option for their home. Until then, there's going to be a certain amount of disconnect, and the education and the information only reaching a certain point. And so that's one of the things that at least is on my agenda for 2021, and that is to start some type of guidance in which families, especially in urban communities, are able to have the same information. This is no different from, a school in the south side of Chicago and then a school in downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to get two different educational settings.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is to be able, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do it together, to be able to really support the families who see this as a viable option for their loved one. But they can't do it if they don't get the information and if it's not readily available. So I do think that now in this next chapter, and mind you, Joey, I laugh every day. I tell that kid, you left me with a full schedule.
Yeah, right.
You left me, like, really, Joey? You left me with a full schedule, but that he knew what he was doing, and I know what's left to do. And I have not changed. I'm able to empower more parents that look like us.
Yeah, and that's definitely our mission too, in terms of it's getting the awareness. Because sometimes, like Osiris was saying in our pre-chat, that we feel because Aiden is not really supposed to be doing as well as he's doing. I mean, the amount of seizures that he was having, like his neurologist, everyone's like, this is basically a miracle. And I think we were just blessed to give him the cannabis early on. Like, it wasn't our last resort like it is for most parents.
Yeah, it was like the first.
It was like the one. Yeah, he was and I think that's the reason why he's able to do certain things now that clinically a child was not supposed to be like this, And
it was a catch-22 for us too, because I had no idea I was knocking out two birds with one stone.
Really?
Had I not given Joey a new, cannabis is a natural neuroprotectant.
It is.
That was our approach.
Exactly.
That's why we went into it with that approach.
And Joey had Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Neurological.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing
how things work, right?
Things work. And I think the message that I want to get to parents, particularly in the autism community, is that it's everything is neurological. So they were like, well, it works for epilepsy. I said, no, listen, if it works for epilepsy, it's going to work for autism, guys, because it's the same thing. It's neurological damage.
It just manifests in different ways.
Exactly. But they don't, the connection is not there. And I'm like, I don't want to be pushy. I was like, how do I educate them? But there's always seems some type of blockage, and I don't know why.
From my personal experience, I think it has to do with the community itself. I don't think they've seen it in a medicine structure, in a sense of here is how it's created. It's into an oil. It's not your usual guys that you see in your front of your building, your corners, that's rolling into a blunt and smoking. But if they change the perception, saying, well, those guys are self-medicating, as opposed to those guys just getting high.
Exactly.
So if they could change that perception, I think it would be more acceptable.
I do too, but I also think we have to be at the hand of making sure that we are in a position to be the leader and the director, or in a leadership position to be able to say that exactly. Because right now, it's great. I love what's going on right now, but I also need to see more decision makers in those decisions.
It's not happening.
In those positions rather,
Mm-hmm.
because. You're exactly right. You can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what we're lacking, and we can't make decisions to empower our communities, then it is going to continue to be a very daunting task for us.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. People needed to hear it from leadership. Higher. Got it.
Well, yes, but also those
our
who can
leadership
relate.
Needs to change.
Yes.
And our leadership, we need to be in more executive positions to be able to make those decisions and say, this is, you may not have this input, but we do.
Yes. And that's something I talked about that Nina and I, something we should start looking into but to find our, those groups that this message would go to, that's the catch. Because we haven't been, truthfully, I think I've seen one other family member on TV that looked like us in a way, that had a child with epilepsy. But that's one out of, we've been in here for about, 5 years now? Mm-hmm. 5-6 years, and we've yet to see another family that look like us, that we can relate to.
I've been in here for 10, 11, 12, almost 12 years, and you're the second family that I've met.
That's mind-boggling. Why?
It's mind-boggling, but I also think that we have a chance to change this.
Yeah, we could. I agree.
By working together and by also making sure that we do our part. And our part is making sure that we educate other families, making sure that they know how to find us, making sure that we have organizations that will support our input.
So let me ask you. So you just mentioned that you're with Cannabis. What are you doing with them now that would also push your agenda as well, and how are they supporting you? Because I would have to assume that they're supporting you really well for you to partner up. Because I know you're not really about playing another narrative.
Yeah, the Cannabis is for multiple reasons. Well, because I'm working so closely with healthcare medical professionals, what I want to do is provide them and arm them with information to become super advocates for us. Now, as a parent of a child diagnosed with autism, yes, cannabis analytics matter. Mm-hmm. So that was, that's kind of a 1-2. And then also number 3 is because they are supporting the disconnect with educating consumers. So, I came into this industry working with, families on the spectrum. When Joey was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, I entered palliative care, and then I entered cancer. And so being able to provide medical professionals with precise and definitive information and giving them a solid resource has been number 1, 2, and 3. And this year, starting 2021, we will be working on a campaign to supporting more education for families, with some type of guidance. Every state has laws but not all of the resources are readily available, and not all resources are written to be understood. And so that's where I think, very grateful for Cannabis to allow me to be able to bring this topic to the forefront and put some, find and work with other families and other legislators and to be able to try to solve this educational disconnect. And be able to empower more families and more consumers to be able to walk into dispensaries confidently.
Wow. I would love to connect with Cannabis to really talk about when a parent is looking at a lab report, what are they reading? Because there's things I look at, I'm like, okay, why is this 0 and this is 0.02? What, after a while, it's like, what does it all mean when you're doing the math? And then it's like, NA was, as a parent who's coming new, it's like, how do I make this decision? Because I think that would delay a parent if they have to understand this lab report to making that jump and saying, hey, I want to get cannabis, but what am I reading?
Yeah, it's discouraging.
Yeah.
It could be discouraging.
And it's the one thing that I really enjoy, and I love what I do. And I love that, and the opportunity that Cannabis has given me is to be able to say, we're a lab and we make mistakes. We're a lab and this science. And in science, there are no mistakes. In science, you're constantly learning and constantly, researching, constantly finding new markers. And so to me, as a person who entered this industry, like, no, keep the science. I had authentically, because my son was diagnosed with autism, science has become and played much, a bigger part.
Mm-hmm.
And so, working with Cannabis, it happened organically. I needed to be in the industry for 9 years and say, okay, now I'm ready for an analytics lab. And to be able to sit down with them and to be able to have a round table, that they don't claim to be the end all be all, but they are open. And I can have conversations. I can bring physicians in. I can bring families in, and I always tell them there is no perfect lab.
Yeah.
We're still evolving.
That's true.
There's no, and so, but for right now, I want to be able to provide not only consumers, but families with, like you said, trust me, I've been through quite a few labs and I've tried to read their reports, and I'm like, wait, I how do we fix this? Because I need to know what strain, how to read this, and so I can have a healthy conversation with my physician. And not every lab has an analytics report in which you can do that. And so the fact that they have taken that extra step means a lot to a family, means a lot to me.
Definitely. Oh, God, I wish we could talk some more because we're running out of time. Would you be willing to come back on our show?
Of course.
Because
I think we're tied at the ankles moving forward, all three of us.
Yes, agreed. Because I still have so many questions because there's so many projects that you're involved in, so many organizations that you're working with.
Sure.
And I know from our conversation, you're very selective of who you work with and who you represent and who represents you. So I wanted to get an idea, like, what made you choose these organizations in particular to really help push your message and help to support those who may be in the same situation that you're currently or we're in, and supporting those families.
Wow. Well, I can tell you that I'm definitely just your average mom, but MD exclusive as a product development. I chose to work with them because I enjoy working with physicians, and I've been here and kind of have seen products involve. And I enjoy sitting down and having the input from the consumer, the physician, as well as the companies. And so I enjoy formulations. I don't know if that is
Oh no, it's
obvious.
definitely but that's very
I love
important.
sitting down and taking everyone's input and creating products.
I say magic.
California, yeah. The California Aquatic Therapy and Wellness Center, Joey was actually a consumer.
Okay.
And it is a aquatic therapy center that is absolutely amazing. It's one of the gems of California. And even when Joey got his feeding tube, I said, I'm still staying on. I'm not, because this place is a very special place for families to get reasonable care for their child, whereas other aquatic therapy centers are $100 per session. They provide $40 for one child for an entire year.
Wow.
So they really do support their community. And when I was asked to be a board member, they didn't have to ask me twice.
Nice.
Chalk and Social is really cool. It's a chalkboard hat, and it's a hat that was designed to get you talking with chalk. You got a little sign on the top of your hat, and you can write whatever you like on the hat. And whether it's my name, I used to use it for Joey when we go to doctor's appointments, because he loves hats. And I would put, like Joey's having a bad day, or walked out, whatever. And then I would give it to healthcare professionals to walk around with while they were working. And having conversations with their patients, where you walk in the room and it's usually very stale when the doctor walks in. Well, now I have these doctors who are acting. I don't know if you remember that one. Oh my God, Patch Adams.
Yes.
So the hats bring back the entire Patch Adams, just like theme, and it gets you talking, and you're social. So you're chalk and social. So it's one of those. Yeah, it's I was absolutely, again, they asked me and I was like, yes. The one of the other board members is, and I don't know if you remember this, he was the teacher, I think in the South, who made all of those handshakes with his students.
I remember that. Yes.
Okay.
It was a charter school he worked at.
Yeah, he's also one of the board members.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that is obviously a no-brainer. Whether I'm, in a bar or wherever, like, you put whatever you want on this hat. Like, I would put, I love beer, and people would buy me beer. Or, you're having a bad day, or it just sparks a conversation that we're not having because we're on our phones.
That's true. That's great. That makes a great environment where everybody can actually communicate.
So I can't wait to send Aiden one. I will send him a few.
Oh, that would be great.
And then, normal, being on the Normal Women's Alliance, it allows for me to still continue to intervene in child protective service cases until further federal laws are passed.
Okay.
The dynamics in our homes have not changed, and have not caught up to the state medical marijuana laws. So as things shift, federally, I am called in as an expert to verify for families, and having the board member title allows me to continue to do that.
That's great. I mean, your inspiration, your involvement, it's just lighting the path. And for us to have, meet you, via phone calls and conversations, and even being part of that Black Expo, it was just, like you said, written in the stars. It's there for us to really take the torch and move forward, because there's so much to be done. And I can't wait to have you back on the show, because there's other questions that I have that, both Nina and I have, that we wanted to talk to you about. because we're not seeing certain things, and we want to know, what has been your experience, especially in the realm of, being a person of color, being in this space, whether from the health perspective or the legal or just socially as well. So we're looking forward to continuing that conversation.
And I look forward to having more allies like you and Nina, because we have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
We definitely, I will, keep everything going on the West Coast, and I know that I have you guys on the East Coast.
Yes, definitely. We're gonna meet in the middle.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Mieko, for coming on the show.
Yes, really appreciate it. We're really looking forward to having you again, because that bridge, it's us. And again, thank you for your time. Really do appreciate it, and wish you all the best, and look forward to speaking to you in the future.
Thank you. Same here.
All right, have a good day.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yes, Aiden has spoken. That's our executive producer on the show.
Executive producer, that's classic.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, you gotta love kids. Thanks. Yeah, that's my call. We got to watch football together.
Oh, well, okay. Well, thank you both for taking your time to speak with me as well. And again, the email chain has started. Hopefully you guys can schedule something. I'll check back with Jamie in a couple of days. And let's just, cheers, because it's about to happen. Everything.
Yes, and we're looking forward to it too. And thank you for sharing this journey with you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And tell Aiden, or give Aiden a high five for me.
I will definitely do that. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.